boy. That's what I'm fucking talking about, baby. Here we go. Needed that. I needed that. You needed that. Don't lie. You did. And God knows the Knicks needed that after the last two games. But this team, man, saying it for, I guess, pretty much the last 3 years before this one. When this team needs one, they find a way to get one. Isn't always pretty. God knows tonight wasn't pretty, although parts of it were very pretty. 36 assists. How you doing? This was fun. This was a entertaining basketball game. Dare I say this was at times an inspiring basketball game. There are things to talk about with the big picture. There are obviously things to talk about with this game itself. A lot of players to talk about with this game. Obviously the first game without Mitch, no IQ either. Let's not gloss over that. Hart, an animal. Isaiah Hartenstein, best backup center in the NBA. Quentin Grimes, where have you been? Oh, here you are. I love it. We're not starting with any of them. You know, been doing this for a little while. Been doing this for a bit. And, you know, when certain people have big games, oh, man, every super chat, comments, the whole thing, just like boom, 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 love, love, love. Jalen Brunson, savior, franchise savior. Emmanuel quickly, team's down, comes in, 5-minute stretch, turns the game around. Praise. Undaunted, unabashed, unequivocal praise. Mitchell Robinson pulls down 9, 10, 11 offensive rebounds. Give him all the flowers. Who am I forgetting? Oh, RJ takes a walk and farts without shitting himself. Ooh, boy. Bouquets. Bouquets upon bouquets. I need y'all to keep that energy high tonight for one Julius Randle. You know, it's funny how the internet works. People will get on me for all manner of nonsense that I say, and God knows I say a lot of nonsense. And yet it's funny because I got on here on a nightly basis 2 years ago and utterly destroyed this man. Game after game after game as he was putting up numbers, but they were empty numbers. And, we didn't have to sugarcoat it. But, like, coming off a season in which, yes, Leon Rose, Tom Thibodeau, the culture, Big 15, the whole thing, Julius Randle turned the franchise around. And then it sinks. And, man, I held it off for a little bit, and then boom, like floodgates open, and I felt like night after night after night, it's like, how can I destroy this guy some more tonight for what I'm seeing? And it really did feel warranted at the time. It did. And then you kind of take a step back and you're like, well, they changed the team a lot around him, and they asked him to do a lot of different things, and like he's still putting up numbers, and like there's a lot of other stars at the NBA that don't try on defense either, and yet like it was A-Rod-esque. It's the only other athlete I could compare it to in terms of the brunt of criticism that he got during that year after the We Hear year, and comes back, starts playing great. Oh, yeah, everybody loves Julius Randle again. What do you know it? Another All-NBA team, another playoff berth, another All-Star team, and more insane numbers. And then this season comes out, coming off ankle surgery. 6 games, it's all took. What could we get in a trade for this guy? What could we do with him? We're never going to win with him. Franchise is cursed because he's here and we're stuck with him. And, the value to us is higher than the value to anybody else, yada, 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 yada. 6 games coming off ankle surgery. And again, I was kind of like, we have to have a conversation about Julius. You'd think maybe we'd know better by now that, like, a couple, like, is he a perfect player? No, No one's saying he's a perfect player. But there are, I don't know, 7 perfect players in the NBA, 6, 8, 7, less than 10. I don't need 2 hands to count them. I know that. And he's like a lot of guys in the next tier. When he's off, okay, doesn't look so pretty, but he still gives you numbers. Defense, not always there. And boy, oh boy, when he's on, like, I need the energy to be high in praise of this man who has been through more from this fan base, present company, front of the line, than any athlete that I could remember in the last 5, 10, 15 years. And what he did tonight and what he's been doing, honestly, since the first 6 games has been astounding. Fred Katz and I talked on the podcast that dropped today about how he's doing it in ways that are better than 3 years ago, that are better than last year. He's becoming somehow more efficient than he was in either of those 2 seasons. He's finding new ways to dominate. And what you saw tonight against a team that historically has just absolutely put the clamps down on the Knicks, defensively at least, they had no answer for this guy. Zero. And look, I get it. I'll get to praising everybody else, and there's a lot of guys who deserve praise in this game. But like, game like this, you lost your defensive anchor for the next 2 months at least. Probably might be more than that. And your best player. No, not nominal. Jalen Brunson's their best player. I'm not going to argue with that. Or go back on any of the things I said. But he had not a great game. 7 turnovers. When's the last time Jalen Brunson had 7 turnovers? He just, like, something was clearly off tonight. I know he was efficient, but like something was off. They needed that performance. And I think he scored 3 points in the fourth quarter. I don't care. If anything, that's a compliment. He deferred. Not only deferred, he made things happen. Some of his passes in the fourth quarter, I mean, his passing throughout this game was outstanding. Only had 5 assists. It's why assists is the most useless stat in the NBA, right after in-game plus minus. But like, his passing tonight and throughout the majority of the season has been otherworldly for his position, for sure. But like, just like his passing tonight, you put it up against any non-point guard in the NBA, and it was like right there. To say nothing of the shot making. 14 of 21, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 turnovers. You live with it with how much he had the ball. I mean, you live with it. Obviously, you live with it. So I rarely do I open these things with a call to action, but I had to do it tonight. More as a reprimand of myself, because no one has been harder on this guy at times than me. And he's one of the best players in franchise history. I know I've said that before, but I feel like I say it, and it's like, yeah, he is one of the best franchise players in franchise history. I guess when you look at the numbers, like, just take a step back and appreciate. Like, we're watching one of the best players in the history of the Knicks, 77-year history of the Knicks, and he's in his prime right now, and he's winning us games. Like, that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. Everybody loved it when Melo was doing it. Obviously Ewing got a lot of flowers during that time before him, King, and I know very few people want to put Randle on that level, and he doesn't belong quite on that level. But games like tonight, man, really, truly awe-inspiring performance from Julius Randle. I had to start with that. It only felt right, especially after the shit that he took in the last game, which in the moment, I was like, what is this? Why are we killing Julius Randle for a game where everybody, like, nobody was particularly good on defense, or on, like, and he was making a lot of stuff happen on offense. He had one bad quarter offensively where the Celtics kind of figured him out. Anyway, all right, let's hit on a couple other ones, and then maybe a few little quick big picture things before we get to the super chats. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of energy tonight. I'm gonna go to Josh Hart next. I don't have a lot to say about Josh Hart, but like, just, it's great to have Josh Hart back. It was 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, where we were like, what the hell is Josh Hart doing? What's up with him? How do we sign him to this giant contract? He doesn't look anything like himself. Well, that's why you pay Josh Hart $18 million a year. Game like that. They don't win this game without Josh Hart. As much as they don't win this game without Julius Randle, they do not win this game without Josh Hart. Finished with 16 points, 8 assists, how you doing, and 7 rebounds. Phenomenal. Game of the year from Josh Hart. I don't know how the hell I'm doing stars of the game tomorrow, because the next guy I got to mention, for as great as Randle was and for as energetic and all over the place as Josh Hart was, is Quentin Grimes not the leading story of this game? Benched this week, says after the benching, I'm all for it. Fred Katz came on our podcast today, aired today, and said, make no mistake about it, Quentin Grimes is happy with the situation. Again, speaking of shit people want to dredge up that I said and kill me for, go find all the dumbass things I said about, I don't know if Quentin Grimes going to the second unit is going to really get him more shots. Shows what I know. I mean, man, his level of assertiveness, his level of activity, everything across the board. I think his defense got better since he went to the bench. It has revitalized him because he was clearly ground down to a fine pulp playing in the starting lineup, especially coming off that injury where he only missed 2 games, but something changed really when he came back. Not that it was ever great before that, but something really changed after he came back from that injury. And since he's been in this role, it's like, oh, I have 5 inches of space. Why, I think I'll shoot the basketball. And man, there were some stats flying around on Twitter about these 2 games in comparison to the handful of games that preceded it after his injury and really throughout the season. This demotion, you don't want to call it that, but like this demotion clearly is doing wonders for Quentin Grimes. So fantastic Quentin Grimes game, fantastic Josh Hart game, fantastic Julius Randle game. And one more guy gets the fantastic tab. I will mention that RJ Barrett had a season high 27 points. Forgive me for not being totally enamored with RJ's performance tonight. I thought he got it going. He got it going, ended up with some really nice makes in transition, did a lot of damage in transition. One transition play, not so great. And he ended up with having a nice night from 3 of 8. Great. Fine. 3 of 8. Doesn't matter that he started 1 of 6. Made the last 2. Makes it all okay. I thought RJ was good. He ended up with a good night. But he's a notch below the 3 I just mentioned. And then, of course, the last guy that I'm going to mention, which is Isaiah Hartenstein. And I already know it. I could already see it coming in the stars of the game. I think Hartenstein's going to get the short end of the stick. Here's what he did in 27 minutes tonight. Scored 11 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 8 rebounds, a couple assists, a couple of steals, and a block. 2 turnovers, 4 personal fouls. The luxury that is Isaiah Hartenstein. Like, if you look across the league and you look at starting centers across the league versus their backups, and you look at what would happen to teams across the league if their starting center went down. And this is not to disparage Mitchell Robinson, who has played at worst borderline all defense level this year. I would argue he as if the season ended today, he should be on the all defense team. It's not to disparage him. It is to prop up a guy who I think unequivocally is the best pure backup center in the NBA. And I talked again a little bit about this with Fred. Fred brought up some names, correctly so. You know, your Naz Reids of the world. He brought up a few other guys, but Al Horford. Those are guys that occasionally play alongside the 5-man, the starting 5 or the backup 5, on their respective teams. Isaiah Hartenstein is he's just a backup center. He's not playing alongside Mitch. He's just a backup center. And for as unglamorous a role as he has, the way he executes and what he does on a nightly basis in a oftentimes thankless job. I'm not going to say we don't talk about it enough, because we do talk about it a decent amount, but like, they're going to miss Mitch. And you saw that tonight. You saw it mostly on the boards. We'll get into that. That's my big story. My big picture takeaway is like, can this team be even? That's honestly where I'm at. Can they be even on the board, on the defensive rebounds, on the defensive glass for the until Mitch comes back? I still think they should find a way to out offensive rebound other teams. But can they keep teams off the offensive glass? Tonight it didn't look so great. I wouldn't put a lot of that on Hartenstein. I think a lot of that was on Sims. Sims has to be better. The team has to be better with defensive rebounding while Mitchell Robinson's out. That's my big thing. But yeah, Hartenstein, fantastic game. Came in, did the job. Did exactly what a backup center is supposed to do. Made a lot of big plays. And it makes you feel like the team is going to be able to withstand the loss of a player who, by any rights, given what he has done this year, neither us as fans at home nor his teammates in the locker room should feel like we will be fine without Mitch. And yet, Hartenstein allows them to feel that way. And that is, you cannot put a proper valuation on that. That is invaluable. So, big win tonight. Started off December. Well, they beat the Raptors to start off December. Then the last two games happened. And now we got another win against the Raptors. So we're 2-2 in December. At this point, if you stay at 500 for the rest of this month, you're doing A-okay. And they took a big step, because if you lose this game, this was looking at the schedule ahead, and maybe we'll go through it before the end of the evening. Looking at this schedule, I mean, look, there's no such thing as a must-win game in December, but man, if you want to try to stay at 500 in the month of December, better win this game. And they did. They found a way. So, on that note, I don't know if Andrew Claudio wants to come up and say hi before we move on.
Well, we have many things to get to, John, because this is a jam-packed edition of the KFS post-game show. How's my sound, by the way? I know my mic is either like way too quiet or louder than a foghorn. So how am I sounding?
You sound like the wings of angels.
Oh, you don't. So, by the way, I'm glad that you acknowledge. You sound like your normal self. You sound like a professional and a scholar, acknowledging your rights and your wrongs. I appreciate when you get introspective. The shirt looks great, by the way. It's the first time I'm seeing it. Like,
hold on, can we do a shameless promo?
Go ahead, promo, and I got my own stuff.
You don't sound so good. You just walked away from the mic. So anybody watching on YouTube,
I got stuff too. I'm saying,
yeah, I got my delivery of my T-shirts today. This is the brand new. Hold on, I'll stand up, but hopefully people don't see my man cleavage here. This is the brand new KFS line of merchandise, which you could find if you're watching this right now. There's a link to the description of this episode. I think you can click on it literally right now. If you're listening on the podcast form tomorrow, the link will be in your podcast description. Yes, and
yep.
YouTube, the whole thing. It's just Knicks Film School, SKOOL, and then you'll go and you'll see all the merch. You're looking for some to give the special someone in your life. I got to tell you, it's comfortable. It looks, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know if I'm being so bold as to say it looks pretty good, but yeah, a whole new line of merch that very excited to show off. So there. Oh, it's a beanie. Andrew has a beanie. He's holding up.
We got beanies. We got in these weird tie-dye colors that my wife likes, as well as just like straight up solid blue or black. So shout out to the KFS merch store. Shout out to Jeremy and to XJ and to Chris and all the work that they've put in really making that look great. So shout out to that. Then shout out to our sponsor, one of our sponsors for today. No, not that one. Prize Picks. The newest sponsor of Knicks Film School through the rest of 2023. They're sponsoring our prediction segment. John, you're off to a great start for your 3-1 prediction. for this week. So far, you're
Needed
1-0.
this.
Fred Katz, unfortunately, is out. He predicted 0-4, so he is done for the week. We'll see what the team of Fred, Benji, and Jeremy does in their prediction of 2-2. But shout out to the fine folks over at Prize Picks. If you would like to see how we did tonight, first of all, let's pull up our picks, the casual crew and I. We went a solid 2-2, John. XJ predicted Julius Randle picked Julius Randle and Scotty Barnes over 42.5 points.
That hit.
Sean with a W selected Julius Randle over 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That hit.
Easy money, baby.
And then unfortunately, me and Mensa. So you brought up RJ's game. I actually thought you're right about the first 3 quarters. He had 15 points going into the fourth quarter, and they really got him going. Like they made an effort to get him going downhill
during the stretch at the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was like, oh my God, who's he going to take out for Julius? And he took out RJ. And I was like, okay.
But you understood it because, like you said, he got it going.
Yeah,
and this is the second straight game that the normal rotation of RJ leaving midway through the fourth quarter was like, he had it going. Should you have done that? And then it's excusable when Hart was playing the game he had and Grimes was playing the game he had. Yeah. And then he put RJ back in. But RJ had 12 points in the fourth quarter. But what he didn't have, John, and I was yelling about this during the watch along, okay, what he didn't have, it was a third assist,
dude,
and he had so many opportunities where a dump off to Hartenstein or a dump off to Sims or a wide open shooter in the corner was there. And RJ, I needed a third assist from you. I would have hit.
The one bad transition play he had where he shot it into OG. I think it was OG Anunoby's hand. That was not great. That was calling for it. It was calling for the third assist, but he didn't get it.
Yeah, was not a fan of that specific play, RJ Barrett. However, good game. And then poor Mensa. So Mensa had a great prop that he found on Prize Picks. He went, so mine was over 2.5 RJ assists for those who can't see on the screen because you're listening later. RJ finished with 2 assists on the night. Mensa this morning texted our Casual Friday group chat and found this Isaiah Hartenstein over 10.5 rebounds and assists.
Brutal.
And we knew Mitch was out. We didn't know he was like the surgery had happened yet, but like that's how early we found out about this prop. And we're like, Mensa, that's beautiful. Take it. That's yours. And Isaiah Hartenstein entered the fourth quarter with 8 rebounds and 2 assists. And he finished the game with 8 rebounds and 2 assists.
Listen, it's still a great prop.
It is.
Great prop. And I love this because like Prize Picks makes it so easy. Like again, you don't have to break the bank for this stuff. You know, it makes your watching experience just that much more fun. I love that you guys do this before every game. Prize Picks, do we have any code or anything, or just go
yes we do. No, hold on, we're getting to it. So shout out to the fine folks over at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/KFS and use code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. So you give $100, you sign up and you deposit $100, they'll match you with $100 of their own. Again, that's prizepicks.com/KFS. Use code KFS for the first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. There's so many different categories. I was looking at 3-point attempts tonight, 3-point makes. You could do combos. So you could do like RJ and Quentin Grimes, or tonight would have been great. Josh Hart and Quentin Grimes threes. You could have done a combo of the XJ. You see his combo. He went Julius Randle and Scotty Barnes points. You can cross sport it. Like, I don't know what's going on in the Giant game, but I heard that that Italian QB is doing really well. You could do like over Julius Randle points, over Tommy DeVito points, over
Tommy DeVito cutlets. There you go.
Yes, exactly. You know, so shout out to the fine folks over at Prize Picks. We'll be checking in on our betting and sweating picks after each game. And then, of course, John, you mentioned it. So we have some other family business. We have a drinking game that we have to get to as soon as I get our cameras in the right position.
What are we doing tonight?
Well, first let's take care of business. Let's pay the bills. Shout out to the fine folks at AG1. I think we go with a Julius Randle shout out because I want people to give shout outs to Julius Randle tonight.
Any Julius Randle shout out?
Yeah. Anytime someone mentions Julius Randle, that's a drinking game for tonight.
That's fine.
That works?
I need the energy high, so that's very appropriate. And of course, if you want to be more energized throughout your day and have great gut health, have great probiotics in your system, and most importantly, have an easy way to make yourself feel healthier and actually be healthier each and every day when you wake up and throughout your day, go to AG1, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2. I always have to be careful when I read that. And 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Here's the important part. drinkag1.com/film school. That's the code. One more time. It's drinkag1.com/film school. You're going to get, again, a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free travel packs. So it's basically a week's worth free of AG1 with those travel packs because you could use them at home. It's fine. Feel better every day when you drink this stuff that is, again, easy to have on the go, easy to make at home. You're going to love it. I'm already looking forward to drinking it tonight. Anything else before we get going?
No, just like you were saying, if you're looking to live healthier and feel better or cleanse yourself of more than just bad sports takes,
I need cleansing
that age poorly, check out AG1 now, okay? And we both highly recommend it, and it will be our cleansing of tonight of all of our bad Julius takes as we enter into the Super Chats.
I love it. All right. I'm excited to talk about this one. This was fun. This was a good game. Needed this one. Big time. Okay. Robert Cross gets us started. It's your boy, John. Randle has been a force down low. Love the passion. Hashtag 53 wins. That moment tonight, man, when he was yelling at the crowd, like, that felt special. It did. And maybe it was just me. I have a feeling it wasn't just me. Could not help but think back to 2 years ago and the thumbs down game, which happened in January? So almost, we're a month away from it being 2 years ago. He's had quite the relationship with the fans in this town. And look, for as much as I yelled and screamed at the top, he's earned a lot of that. But he's also earned our praise. So great to see. Thank you, Robert. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. RJ has looked good in back-to-back games. ? Frankie is too loud. Good to see Tibbs sub him back in. Hashtag 53 wins. So it's funny you say that, Robert. Through 3 quarters, I was not a huge fan of RJ's game tonight. I'm happy that Andrew honed in on the stretch of the game that really turned it around for RJ when he was part of that very, 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 very energetic Knicks backup unit that he's obviously been part of their backup unit all year. Really got them going. But I got to say, when it was Randle, Hartenstein, Brunson, Hart, and Grimes, who coming off that, it was the 3-pointer that put the Knicks up 127-119, I think. I'm going to double check that right now. And he took out Grimes for RJ. I got to say, I was a little bit skeptical. Because Grimes was clearly feeling it. And I was like, okay, well, hope Tibbs knows what he's doing. Turned out to be, I don't know if it was necessarily the right move, but it turned out to be a perfectly fine move. But yeah, you wanted to say 2 back-to-back good games for RJ. I'll give you that. They need him. That's really all there is to it. They need him. So, sorry, it was a Josh Hart 3 that made it 127-119. And then a Josh Hart make from 2 that made it 129-119. And then RJ got subbed in for Quentin Grimes. But on at least one of those possessions, and maybe both, Grimes was instrumental in the ball movement. I thought he was just playing really well. And he obviously hit his big 3 was to make it 124-117, which was huge. But yeah, good game for RJ. Anthony Sixto. Log this to Don't Overreact to 5 Games archives. Randle is him. Shout out to G1. Grimes will be fine. Despite the folklore, Tibbs adjusts with more pace, ball movement. I thought Tibbs coached a really nice game, with the exception of the one skepticism I had, which I just mentioned, taking Grimes out and putting RJ in, which, again, reasonable minds may differ. If you were like, of course you should put RJ back in. Again, it's a matter of opinion. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, we're fans. We overreact. It's what we do. It's in the name. Fan is short for fanatic. But I do think, it's all about track record, right? And Randle, there's a track record. It's not all good, but there is a track record that eventually this guy is going to produce. Grimes, I think, is fair to say he had a bad couple of weeks. I would argue that his track record over, a year and a half, I'm not counting the first half of his rookie year because he really didn't play, but his track record over the last year and a half has been pretty spotless, to say nothing of the games this season before he got injured, which were fine, at worst, fine. So there's track record there. Track record matters with this stuff. And if you have a track record, that's probably a good indication that you should not be overreacting to a week or two that's a little bit in the other direction. And, of course, the Knicks under Tibbs have a track record of responding to adversity. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? Thank you for the very generous super chat. Didn't envy Tibbs having to pick between RJ, Josh Hart, and Quentin Grimes in the fourth. Me and you both, man. Didn't think RJ had a great game, but he had a great fourth. Amen. We've just been saying the same thing. The Raps and the Knicks having to play by two totally different sets of rules wasn't fun. Yeah, the whistle wasn't great. Danny, you're always keyed in on the whistle. It wasn't great. To me, it didn't rise to the level of egregiousness for me. Again, reasonable minds may differ. I could be wrong on that, but it was not egregious for me. That's just me. Thanks, Danny. Josso focused. Turn this one on super late, so I have no idea whether this was a good game or not. It was a really good game. It was a fun game. Very entertaining game. Knicks did a lot of good stuff. They did some frustrating things with transition defense, giving up a ton of offensive rebounds, and they kind of stopped guarding the three-point line in the third quarter. But they did a lot of great stuff, I promise you. Anyway, I'm looking at the effective field goal percentage. Down 2 of our 6 best, and we won. Bien. Yeah. But listen, that's one of those things, we were not Rorschach, right? It's a Rorschach test. Do you feel like, okay, the Knicks hit 60% of their overall field goals and 58.6% from 3, and they beat the Raptors at home by only 6 points? Right? So you could look at that and be like, that's not great. You could also look at it and be like, this is a team that, again, the Knicks have really struggled with in terms of specifically to score and score effectively and be functional on offense with the Raptors' length. And they dismantled them tonight. Watching the Knicks tonight, did they hit a few more threes than they probably had any right to? Yeah, a few. But at the same time, other than maybe 2 to 3 threes, which, again, arguably the difference in the game, I thought everything was completely legit. Look, you take the wins where you can get them. They needed to win tonight. Did they play perfect? No. Do they have things to clean up? Yes. Are there things that they're probably not going to be able to fully clean up before Mitch comes back? Yeah. And it's going to be tough, and there's going to be some frustrating moments because you're like, man, stop giving up rebounds, for instance. But you get the wins. Get the wins any way you can. That's it. That's all it comes down to. Thanks, Joe. Luke Johnson, what's going on, Luke? Great win. Need to know the Knicks record on Garden of Dreams nights all time. Also, I think Breen has a crush on Billy Kennedy. pretty funny. I don't know. It does seem like they win these games a lot. But yeah, I thought Bill Kennedy. It's funny. My wife came down to watch the end of the game, and I'm like, "You got to watch this guy. It's like performance art when he announces the calls." And it was his last one into the mic, and she's like, "That wasn't." He was subdued comparatively to how he is sometimes. Thanks, Luke. Appreciate you, man. Robert Cross with another one. It's your boy John. This Grimes is the one I didn't want in the Spider deal. Boy, are the Knicks going to need him in the next couple of months. Hashtag 53 wins. They're going to need everybody, Robert. Not to quote my my Lord and Savior Tom Thibodeau, but you don't replace Mitchell Robinson with one player, but you can replace what he does with your team, and that comes in replacing the things that Mitch does like directly, and it comes in like maybe filling some other gaps that, you know, because Mitch did what he did, you don't notice as much. Having Grimes be back to being Grimes, it just, this team can't function like it's supposed to without it. With the quick trigger, with the kind of burgeoning off the dribble game that we've seen drips and drabs of since Summer League in 2022. You know, to say nothing of like going back to when he was a combo guard coming into Kansas. And we saw signs of that tonight. And then obviously his on the ball defense. It all matters. You know, it all matters. Thanks, Robert. Josso Focused is a 73.8 effective field goal percentage. Good. Asking for a friend. Yeah, it's pretty good. The true shooting wasn't great tonight because they missed a few too many free throws. Gave a few heart attacks out before all was said and done. Kevin Danishevsky, I told you, John, a move to the bench has reinvigorated my boy Quentin Grimes like I believed it would. All-star ceiling is back. Easy, buddy. Hashtag Hive Prez, Jew at an all-NBA level right now. Cheers to AG1. Yeah, I mean, look, however, you know, I found it interesting when Fred said to me on the pod today that he wouldn't be surprised if there was another starting lineup change. And we were kind of running short on time, and I didn't get into it with him. I'll ask him about it next time he's on. But when this team under Tibbs is rolling, they rarely make changes. Or let me rephrase that. I can't remember a single time where they've been rolling and they've made a change. So the notion that he's going to get back in the starting five, you're not saying he should. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. As far as Julius playing at all NBA level, I did the stars standings after 19 games, and for the newsletter, for anybody who doesn't know, I do stars the game, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star. And when I went through stars of the game at the quarter season mark, I reflected back on last year because it was Brunson in first this year, Mitch second, quickly third. I think RJ was fourth, and Julius was down there in fifth. And I'm like, man, that's pretty bad. I went back and looked at last year. The lead, like Brunson was far and away the leader in the clubhouse, and Julius was he had even fewer stars after a quarter of a season last year than he did this season. And I wrote, I'm like, man, a quarter of a season, the second quarter of the season was enough to give all the All-Star voters recency bias, and they voted Julius Randle into the All-Star game instead of Jalen Brunson, when those of us who watch the team every day were like, yeah, that's fine. We're cool with it. But like, really, Jalen Brunson's kind of the All-Star here. And I made a joke like, is it possible that might happen again? And I said, no, I don't think anyone's going to be able to overlook the fact that he, even through 19 games, was just having an atrocious shooting season, mostly because of that opening couple of weeks of the season. Now you look up, Brunson come back down to earth a little bit the last, week and change. Julius did what he did in the in-season tournament against Milwaukee, did what he did tonight. He's had another couple of games over the last 3-4 weeks. I mean, we'll see. Listen, it's not guaranteed the Knicks get an all-star. I mean, if they're, in 7th or whatever, when the voting time comes, like it's not a shoo-in. That said, I think they'll get an all-star. If you're asking me to bet on it right now, I'd still bet on it being Brunson. But, we'll see. Thanks, Kev. Ja with another one. Is it fair and reasonable to say that this version of Grimes and RJ with a healthy Mitch and IQ put up a better showing against the Celtics and Bucks? Need better defense, though. With the Celtics, it was defense. It was defense, and it was that started. I wrote a whole newsletter about it today. That started with the scheme, and it was just about getting any kind of screening action involving Porzingis and another guy. And they also picked on Brunson a lot. Like, that's what that game came down to for me. It was Porzingis and it was Brunson. And shout out to Benji. He had a whole thread detailing this. The Milwaukee game, I mean, they shot 60% from 3. And they got rolling after a little while. But that was a lot of picking on Brunson, too, on defense. And they just weren't as attentive as they needed to be. So I don't know that I'm going to say anything about, like, this version of this guy, this version of that guy. Like, they need to figure out how they're going to defend the Celtics. And they need to obviously be a little bit more locked in general. That's it. Thanks, Joe. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Win is a win. Having said that, we just gave up 130 to one of the worst offenses in the league, hoping things tighten up after a few games of being Mitchless. He'll be missed. The D train is out of service. Let me offer this. The Raptors in the first half. Hold on. I promise this will not take too long. The Raptors in the first half were 5 of 22 from 3. They scored 60 points. In large part because of the offensive rebounding, the second chance points, and the Knicks, at times, abhorrent transition defense. They scored 70 points in the second half. In the second half, they were 5 of 22, 9 of 17 from 3. So, tip your cap a little bit. Defense wasn't great, to put it politely, in the second half. They're off defensively right now. Like, they have spurts. Like, there was a spurt in this game where we saw a version of the Knicks defense. It was like, oh, there it is. Like, it was brief. It was, like, fleeting. I still think they can put together enough stretches of high-level defense when it matters. The problem is they just have to be better on the glass, because you'll put together that great, 20 seconds of half-court defense, and then you'll give up an offensive rebound. And, like, they never have to worry about that with Mitch in there and then Hartenstein off the bench, because they have been up until this point the best defensive rebounding team in the NBA. They're not that gifted they're not a gifted defensive team at all. It's a little shocking to me that they were as highly ranked as they were, but, like, give everybody credit for that. But, like, moving forward, without Mitch for these next 2 months, they're not that gifted and talented of a defensive team where they're going to just string together so many of those positive defensive possessions, and they can afford to give up offensive rebounds. They're not going to be able to do it. So they have to figure it out. And which is why it's like this is a game-to-game thing, man. And I have a funny feeling there's going to be some games where we look up and we'll be like, oh my god, we got fucking killed on the glass tonight, and, like, couldn't really stop the pick and roll and the whole thing. You you have to supplement the bad with the good. Just make it through this stretch. This is now. It's I hate to say this, but it's like the next 2 months are going to be like triage. Can you get past these couple of months? Couple of games over 500? 3 games over 500? I don't know. Like, what's greedy? I don't know what's being greedy. I'll leave that to everybody out there. Be more Corey, Baltimore Corey. Mitch's presence was sorely missed tonight. Can't give that many offensive rebounds. Yeah, just hit on it. Totally agree. They need to clean it up. Look, and let's give. I haven't mentioned Jericho Sims' name once. First, the guy hasn't played at all. He hasn't played at all. Stepped in tonight in the starting lineup against a team that just everywhere you look, it's fucking arms. You know, that's you want to talk about being thrown into the deep end? That's thrown into the deep end. He'll get better. Dom Cappuccini. Dom, you're a madman. Thank you, Dom. I won't be doing a super chat until Brooklyn. I need my sleep. Amen to that. So I'll say this now. Without 23, I don't know how many times we can win like this. If they can cut down on the silly turnovers, maybe they can get away with more than I think. Good luck on the road. Thank you for bringing up the turnovers. And sorry, there's a tweet that just came up, which I will get back to in a bit. But yeah, Knicks, in terms of turning the ball over tonight, went into the fourth quarter, or went into the second half of the fourth quarter with 13, finished the game with 13. You know, 13's fine. Raptors scored 14 points off those 13 turnovers. That's fine. It's the offensive rebounds. 17 given up. The Knicks have given up more, but not a whole lot more. So that's the big part. And I don't blame you for getting sleep. Dan Hidalgo, Grimes is the kind of player that could make a team look silly if he's traded, but IQ is him, and I can't see us trading DiVincenzo or Hart. What a conundrum. Well, listen, doesn't necessarily need to be a conundrum. Speaking of Manuel quickly, this is thanks to New York Basketball's Twitter account for tweeting this out. Tibbs on Quickly's right knee inflammation. It just cropped up. Some knee soreness. We'll see where he's at tomorrow. I don't want to say too much till he gets in. He's had a bit of soreness. Just want to make sure he's good. So let's see what that is. Look, the Knicks are deep. They have a lot of really good players. We go over the same thing over and over again. How do you get from good to great? Or how do you get from very good to, to great? As long as you're valuing your assets appropriately, you'll be fine. I think we all know what Grimes could do. I think we all know what Quickly could do. I think we all know what RJ could do. Value your guys, and you can say a lot of things about this front office. That they have not been patient is not one of them. So we'll see. I'm not worried about it. Bopped you. Does anyone have JetBlue customer service phone number? I need to refund Grimes one-way ticket to Siberia. Such a nice win tonight. Let's take care of business on the road. It's interesting. A lot, speak of the devil. Rorschach test. People watching this game be like, oh my God, this game shouldn't have been this close, given this, that, and the other. I'm more with you, Bopped you. I feel really good about this win tonight. I feel really energized. I was really, the word I finally arrived at, and I was spending the last 48 hours trying to think of the word. It was deflating. the Bucks and Celtics games. They were deflating because we were feeling pretty good going into those games, and it's like to have it happen the way it happens. Like, oh God, this put some air back in the sails. Was it perfect? No, but you know what? They won. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to give a caveat right afterwards. They won playing Knicks basketball tonight. And yes, I recognize this. The Knicks basketball does not usually entail getting out offensive rebounded by the other team. I understand that. Knicks basketball doesn't usually entail Jalen Brunson as having 7 turnovers. But I thought they showed grit and heart and toughness and all of the other buzzwords that we overuse. So this was a good win for me. Josh, so focused. From the little I watched, I even saw a slightly higher defensive motor from Julius. Cheers, AG1. He doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to set his own baseline. My favorite comment of the night so far, Ja. No one's asking Julius to make all defense. Just put hands up. High hands, right? Be where you're supposed to be. Fight around screens. When you get around a screen and you're in front of a guy who has a little bit of room, take some of his room away. Get a defensive stance. Don't get blown by. Be aware. Like, we know what he has to do. And we know what he has to avoid. And I think like a game like tonight, yeah, again, it's Julius. You're always going to be able to find the couple of clips. But keep it to a couple of clips that look really bad. Don't make it 5 or 7 or 10 clips where it's like, oh my God, come on, guys. What are we doing? That's the goal. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you, man. Dom with another one. Dom, you're getting it all out tonight, aren't you? Even with the roller coaster ride on defense, this game still counts as a solid win. I agree. It appears our 3-point shooting is very real. I mean, I think we could put that one to bed. This team is a good 3-point shooting team. I'm curious if they can carry us through. If it can carry us through December. Nice shirt, John. I got the same one. Awesome, man. That's really cool. Looking forward to seeing you wearing it at the next town hall for sure. I hold on. I'm going to see something. I may ask Andrew to come up here and filibuster for a second. So the one guy who has been having a down season from 3-point range is Julius Randle, right? And he has had a lot of games this year where he's put up a lot of threes and hasn't made a lot of them because what have smart people like Benji and not myself because I'm not smart, but like, you know, a lot of people would say, what do you have to do, Julius? You have to put up the shots. You have to, the volume is what matters. Because last year you only hit 34%, but you put up 8 or 9 or whatever it was, 3-point attempts a game. That's what's going to strike fear into opposing defenses. And he put up a lot of shots from 3 in the early portion of the year. Here's where he's been in terms of shooting threes the last 5 games. 5 3-point attempts, 4 3-point attempts, 2 3-point attempts, 4 3-point attempts, and then tonight, pulling it up, 3 3-point attempts. He was 1 of 3. I don't know if that has been just a decision on his part, if it's been something the team has discussed, but that is a marked change from certainly where he was last year, and even like earlier this year, where it's like I'm looking at from the beginning of the season: 8, 7, 5, 5, 6, 9, 8, 6, 4, 8. You know, and he's taking a step back there. And I wonder, maybe that's something, a continuing story that we should keep an eye on. But he's just been so efficient, and it's incredible how he's making it work for him, even though he's not taking as many threes. That's all.
Yeah, he's also, I mean, you talked about it with Fred yesterday. He's kind of cooking in the paint right now. Like, to point out his 3-point attempts, so he was 1 of 3, which means he was 13 of 18 from 2 today. Like, his efficiency numbers are skyrocketing over this recent stretch.
Yeah. No, it's great to see his evolution, and it's great to see the fact that he does not need to be hoisting it up from 3 for this team to function offensively at a high level, and for him to function offensively at a high level. So that's good. Thanks, Tom. Baltimore Corey, Hart may be onto something with the breast milk diet. Builds strong bones and teeth. I have nothing to add to that, but that's an astute observation.
You don't want to have a deep conversation about this topic?
I've never tried breast milk.
Me neither. Well, I mean,
that doesn't say much for you. You have never had a wife, babies in the household.
Right. But like, I guess, like, technically, I don't know, were you breastfed as a baby?
I'm actually not sure. I don't know.
I know I was. So I have tried it. I haven't since I've been an adult, though.
Yes, and I guarantee you there are other adults out there, not just Josh Hart, who are like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I haven't, and I don't want to.
Well, you guys going to have more kids? Then we could make it a live stream event. All right, I made it awkward enough. That's the drinking game. That's the drinking game. Well, we're not sponsored. It's a breast milk drinking game, and it'll be our
the
largest
drinking game that
donation
occurs. The drinking game that occurs if Dolores gets pregnant again will not be sponsored by
Okay.
anyone. It will just be me huddled in a corner with a bottle of something brown.
Yes, something much stronger, exactly.
Than AG1. Shout out to AG1. Steven Schiame, needed that W, John. Great games from everyone. Julius, when he puts in the effort on D, is a top 15 player easily. This version of Julius on offense and with passable defense, he's an All-NBA guy, as he's been for 2 of the last 3 years. Can you imagine if he made a third All-NBA? If he made a third All-NBA team, that's like, I don't even want to say this out loud because it sounds insane. Like, if you compile enough stats and you maybe make.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I already see where you're going with this. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You know the NBA. It's not the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of, like, did you play basketball for a long time? Were you really good?
It's the Hall of Basketball, yes.
It's
they'll probably factor in that he went to Kentucky and he'll play for one Olympic team that wins a gold medal. And
no, but in all seriousness, like I think Reggie Miller made like 3 All-NBA teams, right? So like look, I'm getting ahead of myself, but it just shows he's not even 30 yet, right? Or what is he, 30? 31?
He's 29. He'll turn. Oh wait, he just had a birthday. I think he just
maybe
either just turned 29 or he just turned 30. I'll look it up, but yeah,
whatever it is, he's got some good years ahead of him. It's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
Haitian Ferg, put some respect on 30. This is the energy I needed. Shout out to AG1. We're gonna have to change AG1 to AG30. He's not perfect, but he's ours. Loved how the ball moved and how players moved themselves. The offense is still clicking. New identity. I mean, I wrote it kind of at the very tail end of the newsletter today, the first newsletter. Shout out to all the newsletter subscribers. You got the Mitchell Robinson injury bonus edition of the newsletter, which you could feel free to sign up for at Substack, Knicks Film School. So the Knicks now, after 3 straight really good games. Andrew, you want to do an advanced stats update real quick?
I already know it.
What are they in offense?
They are 10th in offense now.
10th in offense, and God knows they have to be. How they are still 11th in defense is kind of astounding to me. But they're 10th in offense.
I have 12th in defense.
I have 11th.
I have them behind Memphis and behind Portland and behind.
I'm looking at NBA stats.com.
As am I. Oh, it changed. No, it updated. Somebody else that got killed probably just passed them. So they're 11th in defense. And then they're 9th in net rating.
But like 116.5 offensive rating, it's pretty good. And here's the thing. Phoenix is 11th, 116.3. Then there's a massive drop, and you have Sacramento at 114.5. So there's a very clear upper echelon of offense in the NBA. You have Indiana and actually Philly in kind of a tier of their own, and then you have another, 9-10 teams, and the Knicks are in that group. The offense is real.
116.5 offensive rating would also be 5th last year, or right behind 5th last year. The Knicks' offensive rating last year, according to NBA stats, was 117. Denver was right behind them at 116.8. So the Knicks' offense at the top has been pretty high this year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like how they're playing on offense. Dom with another one. Last one. You could really see a world where Julius and Jalen team up as all-stars. Man, that would be fun. They just need to find a way to get in the 4-5 seed convo to make it happen. Go Knicks. Man, it's funny enough, the loss of Mitch arguably helps that case. Like, if they do get to the all-star voting time and they continue to play well and like blow away my modest expectations for them, which is basically to just like be around a 500 team, maybe a little bit better. Yeah, they would have a shot. They would have a shot. I don't know if it's a great shot, but they'd have a shot. Last time the Knicks had 2 all-stars. Let's see if I could. Andrew, you want to do a quick quiz?
I know it. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, the last time they had 2 all-stars was Melo and Tyson Chandler.
Correct.
In
2013.
12-13 season. Time before that was Sprewell and Allen Houston in the 2000.
It's very famous All-Star game. Very famous All-Star game.
Oh, I don't remember the actual game. I just know it's either 01-02 or 02-03.
So it's the 2000-2001 season. So it was the 01 All-Star game. And the reason it's so famous is because the East was trailing by like 19 or 20 going into the fourth quarter.
Game, yeah.
And the East made a huge comeback. And Stephon Marbury
there you go.
hit 2 big
I remember watching the game.
In crunch time. Kobe, that's one of the more fun YouTube rewatches, just to go rewatch the final 5 minutes of that game. And the reason I say it was legendary is because that game usually means nothing, especially kids watching today's All-Star game are like, wait, the All-Star game mattered? Yeah, they played the last 5 minutes of that like a competitive game, and it was Dikembe Mutombo's, former Knick, it was his performance in that second half, in which he had over 20 rebounds in that game, that convinced Larry Brown to trade a first-round pick for him a few weeks later so he could use him to potentially defend Shaq in the finals, which didn't work.
So I would have to go back and really dig deep on the East in 2000, 2001. The Chandler Anthony thing is a different category because like the Knicks were a really good team and Chandler was having an outstanding defensive season. That's different than getting 2 like shot creating offensive engines into the All-Star game. Houston Sprewell, man, the East was not great at that time. I would want to go back and really dig in. Like the Knicks were not a great team that year. And then they had multiple All-Stars, obviously, at times in the 90s. Ewing, famously in 93, 94, Ewing, Starks, Oakley. And then, in the 80s, they had Ewing, or late 80s, I think it was Ewing and Mark Jackson. Like, the last time you had 2 true, like, engines like this, where it was like a true 1A and a 1B, man, you kind of have to go back to Clyde and Pearl, I think.
Probably. I think you're
Yeah.
not giving enough credit to Sprewell and Houston and what they meant to that team.
They were awesome. They were
You're right
they were
in
the
the
offense.
sense that it was a very weak Eastern Conference, though.
It was weak.
So, and to make that point, I'm just read the starting five for the East that made the All-Star team in 2001. So Allen Iverson, who won the MVP that year, started.
Yeah.
Vince Carter, potential future Hall of Famer. Tracy McGrady just made the Hall of Fame. Antonio Davis of the Toronto Raptors.
It's a real thing.
That is a real thing. And then rest in peace, once a Knick, always a Knick. Anthony Mason of the Miami Heat was the 5th starter that night. Now let's go to the Western Conference. Let's see if you know any of these names. So Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Chris Webber, Jason Kidd, and then the 5th starter, Kobe Bryant. You ever heard of him?
I have heard of him.
With David Robinson and Karl Malone and Gary Payton off the bench.
Yeah, it was not an equal footing league.
No.
At that point in time. So all this is to say, if somehow Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle both make the All-Star team this year, that would be worth making a big deal out of.
Yeah,
for sure. Matt G, great team win, big time. Julius Randle performance. I'm running out of AG1. Hit process is way better. Can live with a few brain farts. Brunson is starting to get picked on defense. Completely agree with the Randle comment. I don't really have anything to add there. Brunson getting picked on defense. More teams are doing it, and they're going to be creative in doing it. I thought he was really strong defensively over the first, 15, 17, 19, whatever games of the season. It's been a rough go. These last 3 games especially. It's been really rough. And, you zoom out and you're like, man, you're asking this guy to do a lot offensively. A lot. And it's not just you're asking him to take a lot of shots, like the work he puts in to manufacture his buckets, which maybe is mitigated by the uptick in 3-point shooting this year in terms of volume. I wonder if that has to do with it. And then the ways he can make himself valuable on defense by drawing all these offensive fouls and taking all these charges and everything and just throwing his body around. It really does make you appreciate how much you are asking of this player. And I don't know. I've heard a lot of arguments. Some of them don't need to be that sophisticated in terms of here is why the Knicks need to keep Emmanuel quickly, because he's a very good player. But the notion that you may need to start managing Brunson in a certain type of way, maybe earlier in their career than you would need to manage a lot of other players. I don't know. Something to think about. Thanks, Matt. Will Oliver, what's going on, Will? Randle getting the crowd amped felt like a thumbs down cleansing. Absolutely. And man, I hope it sticks. I hope it sticks. That's all. Great comment from you, Will. Thank you. Jason M, give Randle his damn flowers. He deserves it 100%. We're giving it to him. Amen to that. Sean with a W. Raptors fans in spaces want Darko fired. LOL. Hey, listen. Are we allowed to talk about the Raptors for a sec? I don't know if we're allowed to talk about the Raptors for a sec. Raptors are 9-14. And Scotty Barnes is having a legitimate most improved player level campaign. They didn't lose tonight because of Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes was awesome. OG Anunoby tonight was, he was really good. scored a bunch of points. I thought, obviously Randle had his way with him defensively on a few occasions. But, like, OG Anunoby, his scoring is a little bit down because the usage is a little bit more spread out. He's been awesome defensively. He's hitting 39% from three. Like, OG's been good this year. Siakam is the one who's, like, most noticeably taking a step back. But, like, he hasn't been terrible. Schroeder's been fine. Pirtle's been solid. Like, they got Trent. They got Achua. They got Boucher. They got Dick. You need Dick. Didn't do much tonight. Not a lot of Dick tonight. So I don't know. We'll see. But Nick Nurse certainly seems to be doing well in Philadelphia. I continue to be endlessly fascinated by the Raptors. There was a report from Shams today, obviously, that noted that teams are like, they're circling in the water, as it were, waiting to see. He reported what many others have reported previously, which is that, like, OG Anunoby is the one who teams are more skeptical that he actually gets dealt. I don't know, man. 9-14. You're at this point you're fighting it out with the Bulls to be in 11th. I don't really know what you do with that, because it's not. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks, Sean. And check out Casual Fridays. Obviously, they're awesome. So go listen to them. Kevin Danishevsky, love you, John, but that's so unfair to A-Rod. A-Rod hit 290, 392, 523 during his down 2006, while Randle was very detrimental in 21-22. I love Julius, and I've been a defender of him, more of an A-Rod defense. Andrew's on here rolling his eyes.
Kevin, if I could speak for you, John.
Please.
The point that John was making was not a direct one-to-one comp. Clearly, Julius was not an MVP level player, although it did finish 7th in MVP one year. He was not saying it's a one-to-one comp. It's more just the vibe or the spirit of the conversation around both players, because you bring up A-Rod's down 04 year or 06 year, in which he had 121 RBIs and 36 home runs, and yet was getting booed and batted 8th during the playoffs.
I remember
the
that.
04 year. Yes, against Detroit. The 04 year is actually the year I think people point to that started. Like, you want to talk about a thumbs down? How about slapping a ball out of Bronson Arroyo's hand as you're part of the worst collapse in Major League Baseball history?
I remember
so
that.
There are vibes around A-Rod that exist in the same context around Julius, that no matter what he does, he's never going to win the fan base over. That is what is going on here. It's not one-to-one comp. You didn't have to pull up Baseball Reference on us. Love you, Kev.
Why do you hate Kevin Danishevsky?
I love Kevin. Believe me. I ignore all of his baseball direct messages. Joe Mauer's not a Hall of Famer, by the way, Kev. Anyway, next up.
Yes, next up. By the way, I'm just looking at this. Well, I'll get back to it later.
I'm back.
I was going to say, big win for Orlando tonight. Beat Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
I was trying to keep an eye on that game throughout the night. And
John, go look at the Washington score.
I saw it.
Oh my gosh, that was 112-67 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I was just looking at the Eastern Conference standings. Orlando's so there's Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly. Those three teams you figure are going to be there all year long. The question is, when is Orlando going to come back down to earth? And there's a big, they keep just having these big wins, important wins. They're right there. They're tied, obviously, for second in the conference. I still think they will come back at some point, and then it's a matter of who from this, if they do come back, Magic, Indy, Knicks, Brooklyn just keeps fucking hanging around. Cavs, Miami. How many? I named 6 teams.
Yeah.
So that's 6 teams for three playoff spots. And then there's a drop off with Atlanta next, but maybe Atlanta could find some life. Gun to your head, who are you picking for the 3 playoff spots right now?
It's entirely too early at the moment. For me personally, there's a lot of things that still need to be sorted out. You know,
I'll tell you that you're not gonna be surprised at which of those 6 teams I think is most certain to. Yeah.
this is where. Speaking of, the shirt's not available anymore, but I cannot wait to wear this.
No, it's not
at
that.
the next game. Really, you're not going to Miami? Okay, where are you
No.
going? Oh, Indiana. Oh, that's right. We got to go create a Pacers shirt for you to wear too.
I think I would go Knicks above the Heat. Actually, I would go if I was to rank those 6 teams as far as like most sure that they're going to get one of those 6 playoff spots. I think I'll go Indiana 1, Knicks 2.
So, John, I'm going to turn the live stream off. Are you okay? Everything all right?
Listen, Miami doesn't always take the regular season seriously.
I mean, that was always true, and it's never stopped you from going out of your way to stump for them.
Yeah, no, I don't know. We'll see. I could see any of the. Listen, I just named those 6 teams. I could see any of those teams finishing 4th. I could see any of those teams finishing 9th.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, maybe not any of them 9th because I think the Nets will probably regress a little bit. But yeah.
Can I just say, the Giants just won, so shout out to New York Football Giant fans watching. I have no idea if you wanted. Yes, Tommy Cutlets, another win for Tommy DeVito. I have no idea if you wanted that because they were in full tank mode, and now it's legit. That loss to Zach Wilson 5 or 6 weeks ago might actually keep you from the playoffs. But I've also successfully triggered Kevin in the live chat because he's now listing Joe Mauer's resume. I just don't care.
That's unfortunate.
Shout out to everybody watching along still. Over 400 people still watching along, an hour and 17 minutes in.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Busy. So, when are we going to call for Dante's benching? Don't fuck it up. Come on. Keep things as they are. Please, God. Thanks, Busy. Appreciate you, man. Jocelyn Focus, man. He's getting him in tonight. Your praise for Julius has me intrigued, John. Now, I have to watch this game because it sounds like this might have been his best game of the season. Still, he has earned both the praise and the vitriol that no one game can change. I thought the combination of his process and his shot making tonight might have been as good as any game this season, and that includes the Bucks game where he scored. I forgot how many he scored. He scored over 40 points. Because like the process I thought was great, and then the reason I bring up the shot making is not only on those possessions where he was just absolutely in his toolbox working the Raptors like a beaten mule, but there were a few possessions where the possession broke down and like it devolved into like, okay, I'm going to take a tough shot. And some of the tough shots that he hit, man, I mean, like he had however many field goals he had tonight. I don't know that there was a single one where I wasn't like at least a little bit like, man, that's a nice shot. Truly, like go back honestly, the best thing for you to do, don't go back and watch the whole game. Tomorrow morning, once the clips are uploaded, go to the NBA's. You could just click on like Julius. If you go to the NBA's stats page, some of the stats are in blue, which means you can click on them and see video of those stats. Just go watch the field goal makes from this game, and you're going to be like, my God, it was great. Truly astounding. Thanks, Joe. Jay Berg, what's going on, Jay? I didn't have Macri becoming champion of Julius Randle on my bingo card. You're 100% right. This is who he is and did what Amari was supposed to do, make the Knicks relevant. I mean, Amari did it for 50 games, right? And then the knees gave out. Julius, he's a warrior. Doesn't miss games. Just doesn't do it. Battles. One of the most durable players in the NBA. One of the most durable stars in the NBA. Thanks, Jay. Busy. P.S. Love Julius. Never doubted him for a second. Shout out AG1. Although I'm running out of AG1 here. A lot of Julius praise. That's a good thing. Thanks, Busy. Zach Halilovic. Man, maybe all of our role players should complain to the media. LOL. It seems like it causes turnarounds. Yeah, I'm trying to think who the next guy I want to complain to the media is. They're walking a tightrope here. You know, all kidding aside, and go listen to the podcast with Fred today. He shed some real insight, and like again, we have the privilege of, we were able to bullshit with Fred on text message like every day. What he said, like, take it to heart. That yeah, there are like probably a lot of guys in the locker room who are not thrilled with their shot selection right now, with their shot attempts, the number of shots they get, and like that will fluctuate game to game. And like after every game, probably win or lose, there will be guys in that locker room be like, man, but it's still a together locker room. It's still a locker room that is it's a bunch of professionals, and I think the two guys that I think you got to be a little bit more in tune to are Grimes and Quickly, because they're the two guys that haven't gotten paid yet. So we'll see. Have to hope it's not a problem, but I got to tell you, I'm not worried about it. I'm not. And I worry about a lot of shit. RJ Team, love I Heart. Is it possible for us to re-sign him? Yeah, anything's possible. I mean, look, they'll have his do they have his full bird rights? I'm always bad on the bird rights. No, like versus like non-bird versus early bird versus full bird. He's been in for 2 years. Pretty sure after 2 years you get full bird. I'll double check on that. Regardless, they could sign him to the mid-level. So like keep his cap hold, or maybe actually don't. That's the thing, is I don't even think you need to keep his cap hold. That's the thing I need to look up, and I apologize. I should be better on this. But he, as Fred said, he deserves mid-level money. Like that's where he's at. That's how good of a backup center he is, and an insurance policy for a guy that let's call out the elephant in the room. Mitchell Robinson has had a lot of these sorts of things happen to him over the course of his career. Like he gets injured. It's unfortunate. I'm not blaming him, but it happens. So to have a backup like Isaiah Hartenstein is so important. It's just going to solidify them going into the tax, but I feel like they're going to be in the tax anyway. So it's really just a matter of like, it's a matter of this. Is he the difference between them going in the first apron or, God forbid, the second apron or not? I don't know. There's too many moving parts. Quickly is a moving part. Grimes is a moving part. Hartenstein's a moving part. Do they trade for a star is a moving part. All of these are moving parts. But can they keep him? Yeah, they could keep him. For sure, they could keep him. Ja with another one. Thank you, Ja, man. Seriously. You and Dom, MVPs tonight. Last one. In the end, this is a team we all want to love, down to every single player, coach, etc. This is a game that we can start the unity. Let's hope. I got some vibes coming off this game. That's why I brought a certain amount of energy to this one. I got some serious vibes coming off of this win. I feel really good about it. We'll see if it translates to what will be a challenging, to say the least, West Coast road trip. Jacob Slava, what's going on, Jacob? Great win. Good vibes all around. Amazing Julius Randle performance. I have a little bit of AG1 left.
I got the rest if you need me to.
Great. He's been putting together some consistency. Anyone who complains right now should check in on Detroit. Woo, boy. You know what I looked up earlier today? Since Detroit made they had their playoff run in the early 2000s. Since the last one of those playoff runs, they had, not only do they have the worst winning percentage in the league, but it's like the worst winning percentage in the league by a comfortable margin. it's really it's quite bad. Yeah. Don't want to be a Pistons fan right now. Harry Donor, what's going on, Harry? I got to switch to a different substance, but shout out to AG1. Randle exists to make his biggest fans and biggest detractors look stupid on a nightly basis. Make your takes at your own peril. He is what he is. You know, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Which is why I could go and say my spiel tonight, and like a week from now or 2 weeks from now, whatever it is, when he has a game that makes me want to put my head through this desk, I'm gonna look ridiculous. That's who he is. He is an up and down player, but on balance, there have been a lot more ups than downs. And compared to other stars around the league who leave a lot to be desired in the areas of the game that are not shot creation, he is not some sort of pariah. He is very much in lockstep with a lot of those other guys who get a lot more consensus praise, both from their fan bases and around the league. So that's really where I'm coming from. Again, this is not about making Julius Randle out to be something he is not. It is about recognizing what he is and appreciating what he is for what it is, which I think you nailed in this comment, Harry. Thank you. All right, we got back to back from Busy. Serious question though. Can the offense work with a non-shooting big? Randall's playing on the block a lot more or less on the perimeter. Won't the spacing be off? Short sample size, it's working, but just wondering when the scouting report changes, can the way he's playing work out? Yeah. Yeah, I think it can, because I think like Benji's the better one to talk about this, and DJ. Benji and DJ are the better ones to talk about this. I'll say that at the outset. But this is why the Grimeses and the DiVincenzos and the RJs and certainly the Brunsons with his improved three-point shooting, all of these guys are vital. Because I'm just from a geometry standpoint, if your floor is spaced with the other three, can Julius get all the way to the rim with a non-spacing big in there? Maybe not. But can he get to 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet? That's what has been so amazing and encouraging and enjoyable about his season, is because, and it's not like this is, you're watching him make these shots and you're like, oh, that's unsustainable. No, he's always made these shots. The difference is, and shout out to Fred for pointing it out, he is making an effort to get the deep post position. Not all the way to the rim. Not to say that he can't get all the way to the rim. And God knows he put a few dribble moves on some guys tonight that were like, oh boy, he can do that. But as long as he gets into that short mid-range, that floater range, and then from there, if whoever's guarding the center that's in the dunker spot helps off, well, we know Julius can make the pass. Now, that pass becomes a little bit dicier with Mitchell Robinson in there. And God knows we've seen a lot of passes to Mitch, or attempted passes from Julius to Mitch over the last year and change that is like, that's not great. In that respect, having Hartenstein out in there actually helps you. But that being said, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it. But where I worry more is where teams are like anytime teams make Julius think, he's best when he acts, right? And maybe that sounds silly. Once you're like, oh wait, hold on, there's a help guy that's like right here, and then if I turn into this move to get to my spot 5 or 6 or 7 feet away from the basket, that help guy is going to be there. So I should pass it. But wait a minute, they haven't helped yet. So do I pass it now? Do I spin and then pass? Like, those are the moments where we know that Julius can get a little twisted up. And honestly, I think the easiest solution is just to have willing shooters, obviously good shooters. And that's where, again, the 3 names I mentioned are the 3 names I mentioned on purpose: Grimes, DiVincenzo, Brunson. Those are the 3 guys at this point that give you the best chance in terms of off ball, really striking fear into the hearts of defense. And I am especially going to give a shout out to Quentin Grimes, because we were reminded tonight that dude doesn't need but 6 inches of space. And he doesn't need a lot of time to fire away. If you give him this much infinitesimal space and time, he will shoot it when he is going right. And now he's going right. And that's important. And if you could get other guys on track, all the better. Obviously, RJ getting his 3 going, all that stuff matters. All of this stuff plays into Julius being effective. So, we'll see how it goes. Thanks, Busy. Robert Cross, first time, long time. It's your boy John. I know you don't believe in RJ as a star. How dare you? How dare you, Robert? But the only thing standing in the way at this point is consistency and Frankie. Hashtag 53 wins. If you're telling me the only thing, if RJ was more consistent, he'd be a star. I have to pull out my dad's. I don't know if this is like an inappropriate quote at this point in 2023, but my dad, as I was growing up, my dad always used to say, and if my mother had wheels, she'd be a wagon. I think there's like a negative implication there now. I don't know what it is, but is it negative? Is it a negative implication?
No, it's funny. That was a whole different direction than I thought you were going with that.
No, that's what my dad always said. If my mother had wheels, she'd be a wagon. Yeah, if RJ was more consistent, he would be a fucking all-star. Great.
Yeah.
Well,
I think my parents were like, if I had wings, I'd be a bird or something like that,
Yeah, no. My dad had to invoke his mom for whatever reason. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you as always.
3 straight from Josh So Focus coming up.
Giddy up. My God, Ja. Truly. Last one. Someone tell Tom Cappuccini this is my bit. Oh, God. And I guess we're getting more. Last one for real. Thank you, JMAC. I appreciate you. And now one more from Ja.
You're welcome, by the way, Ja. I appreciate you too.
It's the last one from Ja. Since John is hating on RJ again, the last play where he adjusted from taking a charge to putting his arms up for the steal was chef's kiss. Yeah, no, that was good. I was a little worried when he was getting in charge stance when the guy was like 5 feet away, but yeah, it was a good adjustment from him. My life flashed before my eyes at that moment, but I was happy. It was good RJ game. Good RJ game. I don't want to end up on. I've been in people's mentions enough this week. I don't need to end up in any more. For
yes.
RJ.
First of all, yes. Second of all, I'm going to join you in this. Did we just not watch the first 3 quarters? RJ had a very good fourth quarter. We don't have to concede it was a good RJ game, but they got it going in the fourth quarter, and it didn't matter what the first 3 quarters were.
No, look, he comes up big when it matters. Here's what I'll say. Let's hope the 3-point shooting with those last 2 3-point makes, that starts to get the snowball rolling down the hill.
Because he's someone, if this Randle's here to stay and they're going to operate with Randle out of the post and out of the paint, RJ's going to be open a ton from 3. And if he can get back to 35, 36% consistently, then like we'll take it at this point.
No, they need him. Russ Guberman, what's going on? Can we talk Mitch injury potential dominoes? Sure, although I have a feeling I know where this is going. Defense tanks, the lane opens up for RJ and Julius Randle. The Knicks push to facilitate a trade for a big wing stretch 5. Sorry. Let me think. No. I don't think this team operates like that. I don't think that they will make, not suggesting that what you're saying is a panic trade, but like, I think they feel good about what they have in house. Like the fact that they brought Sims into the starting lineup says a lot to me. It says that they truly value Hartenstein with the backups and that they perhaps more importantly, are comfortable, as they did tonight, closing with Hartenstein. I'm just trying, like, if they could get another center for like literally nothing, but if it's a center that's good enough to take Jericho Sims' place in the starting 5 and play 20 minutes a game for a playoff contender, or playoff, whatever. We know what the Knicks are. For the next 2.5 months, that's not a guy you're going to be able to get for a bullshit second round pick, especially not now. And this is the part, bad job by me. I haven't brought this up until literally right now. It's December 11th. If you're getting a team that's going to give you a good stretch 5, to say, like, forget backup center. Like, you're talking about a good stretch 5 who could actually play. I know CP, shout out to Knicks Fan TV, brought up Kelly Olynyk earlier today. If you're getting that dude in December, on December 11th, you ain't getting him for a bullshit pick. You are paying freight for that guy. Maybe when we get to February, if for example, the Jazz are just in absolute full tank mode, which they kind of are in already, and they can't get a first for Olynyk, again, just throwing out a name to give an example, then maybe on February, whatever the trade deadline is, 8th, 9th, 10th, at that point, you could get him for, the Pistons second, or, the Washington, the fake Washington first. That at this point is a fake first. But by that point, it's February. And you don't need them anymore. Like you're just, the guy you're getting for the bullshit pack, for the bullshit asset now, is not a guy that's gonna light your world on fire, which is why I said earlier today, and I'll maintain right now, if they bring in another big onto this team, I think it's gonna be Taj Gibson, which I know people will laugh at. It's fine. That's the guy. If you're gonna bring in a guy, bring in that guy. But before you do that, let's see if Jericho Sims could figure it out. Give Jericho Sims 5-10 games to see what he could do. I thought he was okay tonight. I think he was great. It was okay. Andrew P. Well, Sims is pretty switchable. Yeah. He needs to learn how to rebound better. And rebounding is one of those things that look, it took Mitch 4, 5, 6 years to become an elite rebounder on the defensive glass, which I don't know if he's elite defensive rebounder, but he's very good. It takes time. It takes reps. So yeah. But Sims could do some stuff, just like Hartenstein could do a lot of stuff. Danny Gardner, despite the stretches Mitch has made, being able to throw a bounce pass on the pick and roll. Thank you so much for this. I'm going to bring up a play. Without it being fumbled, should open up things for the offense. So I wrote a couple plays down. That Brunson on the pick and roll, where he just felt comfortable delivering it to Isaiah Hartenstein. And Benji mentioned it on Twitter, where it's like you can't, as you say right now, you can't throw that pass if it's Mitch. You can't trust that Mitch is going to be able to secure the ball, take one dribble, go up to the basket over the course of 10 or 12 feet. You could do that with Hartenstein. It's helpful. I don't know. I'm not saying it outweighs everything Mitch does good, but it's helpful. Rob DeLusmo, what's going on, Rob? What's up, JM and our man Andrew? I feel better about Grimes and that Sims will get better with time, as I just said. Much love to both you and KFS crew. Keep on keeping on. We don't know how to do it any other way. We will always keep on keeping on. Thanks, Rob. All right, we got a back-to-back from Busy. Busy, you're always appreciated. I don't say it enough. Thank you. Thank you. Last thing for the night. John, you and RJ detractors never acknowledge how many times RJ gets fouled going to the basket. It doesn't get the call. I'm going to read your second comment, and then I'm going to come back to this. Why do you hate RJ Barrett, John? I've been consistent about this, Busy, for years. I may be wrong, but I've been consistent about it. So this is not recency bias. I have always felt, again, I know you watch a shit ton of NBA basketball. There are guys who sell the contact in such a way where they get the calls. And there are guys who do not. Now, having said that, I do think this year, earlier in the year, for sure, RJ started to turn that corner. And yes, maybe the reputation needs to catch up to the reality. I don't think it's fair at this point to be like, this is egregious and this has always been egregious. Not that that's what you're saying, but I do not think he has done a good job at all of selling the contact in the past. And I think the fact that he so oftentimes will yes, there will be contact, but he will not shy away from it, but you see the way Jimmy Butler goes about his business. That's the comp. That's always been the comp. It has not been the same way with RJ Barrett. This season started out, we saw shades of that. He got hit in the face tonight. Wasn't called a flagrant, not ideal, but I still think it's a work in progress. He's gotten better. We're getting there. So I'm actually not disagreeing with you. Totally, but that's not going to change overnight. Needs to keep it up and get a little better. Thanks, Busy. Anthony Sixto, another AG1 swig. Julius Randle ride. #ride with Randle. Cheers to AG1. Thank you for sponsoring the show. You guys have been great sponsors all the way through. Again, can we get the promo code up one more time?
The promo code is, there you go,
drinkag1.com, drinkag1 / I was getting confused with the backslash with the forward slash.
Yeah.
There you go. / film school. Again, I cannot tell you guys enough. You're going to feel so much better if you do this. I've gotten so many people that have reached out to me hearing these ads and laughing about it, but also they've ordered the product and have just been blown away by how much better they feel. Try it out. It's not going to break the bank, and you're going to feel a lot better if you do it. Again, drinkag1.com / film school. Yeah. Shout out to Julius Randle. John So Focused made 2 RJ effective field goal percentage jokes, comments, and John missed them both. I'm crying myself to sleep tonight, but good on you for not feeding into it. #last one, except
there's 2 more.
Focused. Last one. New life mission. Aggregate John. You need.
Aggregate John saying you need dick, which is what you said earlier, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he says $50 to me if I do it first. As John hinted at earlier, I think we've had enough of John saying something on a live stream going viral on the internet for one weekend. So I think I'm going to pass.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. I gotta find it. Here's what I'm actually gonna put on the internet because we have one more.
You have to do that.
I have to. So we have ads running in the podcast feed. Everybody, you all hear them throughout the week, and there's obviously a HelloFresh ad playing in our podcast feeds at the moment. And John, while he was reading the HelloFresh ad, um,
I wasn't
so
drinking at all, by the way.
it wasn't like it was. This is the most honest mistake ever, and it was. I was like, it was the most Ron Burgundy thing ever. So the way it reads, the way the copy reads is go to hellofresh.com/filmschoolfree and use code filmschoolfree for free breakfast for life. And then the next line says, repeat vanity code and offer. And what it's telling you is to repeat what you just said. But what John then read was repeat vanity code and offer. Wait, what does that mean? And I it made me laugh for a good solid minute because it was like so honest because he was in the rhythm of reading the script. So I'll put that up tomorrow.
If you tell me to read the thing, I read the thing.
I could have put up like Ron Burgundy is the one that we go to, but the Charles Barkley I'm a dumbass is better. When Ernie put into one of the TNT promos, I'm a dumbass, and Charles just read it out. I'll put that up. It was one of our promo sessions that we recorded yesterday. But when you went, like, it was so genuine. And free breakfast for life. Read vanity code and repeat offer. Wait, what? And then it was so innocent.
All right, can we read the last comment?
Last one.
Drazov didn't catch the game. Question for the crew: most underrated Christmas movie? Underrated? Wow, that's a great question because there are a lot of great Christmas movies out there. Underrated Christmas movie implies that this is a movie that is not caught on with popular culture.
It's a great question.
There's a movie that came to mind. No.
So Anthony Sixto just put it in the regular chat, my go-to, because I don't know if it's underrated because I think it's a lot of people bring it up. But Jingle All the Way is fun enough for me to keep revisiting it every year.
My wife, Dolores, my amazing wife, put it on for the kids. Actually, I think during a Knicks game like last week, and they were not. It didn't sell. And I, you know me with Arnold. I actually, me and Scarlett watched Kindergarten Cop together for the first time a couple nights ago. Massive hit. Jingle All the Way didn't do it. That's just not a great Christmas movie for me. Like, underrated implies that it is good. It is good, even if it's not great, and it's good enough that it like caught on. The movie that my wife showed me that I had never seen a few years ago, and then she put it on the other night. And I was doing other stuff, but I was like kind of listening in, and it's like, you don't want to like it, but it's good. It's Christmas with the Cranks.
Okay.
Which is, it's fine. It does okay. Man, I really want to give a better answer to this, but like, do you have another one?
No. Again, the Christmas movie conversation gets beat to death. Not that you're doing that, Drazov, but like all the movies get discussed, so it's tough to find one that's underrated.
Is Home Alone 2 underrated? Like,
not really. I think it's part of the pantheon. Like, it's not in the Mount Rushmore, but I think it gets mentioned in all of the conversations. Like, there's a movie this Christmas with Idris Elba and Regina King that I really like. But I don't know if that's an underrated movie at this point. Die Hard.
Man, I've never seen The Holiday.
It's less of a Christmas movie and more of a rom-com. But
is Love Actually underrated?
No, it's bad.
Oh, I love Love Actually.
I love it for its badness. Like I'm saying, like it's a cheesy holiday movie.
I think it's a fantastic holiday movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I'm on the Love Actually train.
So now we know how it all ends, folks. It's when John shows up at Tibbs' door with cards that he's written words down on saying, "Don't tell anybody that I'm here." And he's just professing his love by changing the cards over and
Dude,
over.
there's tears in my eyes every time I see that scene.
Why?
I love that scene. It's the best scene in the movie.
Oh, like tears of happy sadness. Like,
Yeah, that gets
not of
me every
laughter.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm getting choked up. It's I'm not kidding. Is Serendipity a Christmas movie? Is that a Christmas movie?
I think it's fine. It's a Christmas movie. It's a movie that takes place at Christmas, so I guess it is. There was
give me your
Santa's
response
like
to
a
Love Actually. That's my answer.
So Violent Night is a movie
seen it.
where the guy from Stranger Things, Hopper from Stranger Things, plays Santa, and he's like a John Wick type of character, and it was like really
David
fun.
Harbour. He's
David Harbour.
He is he's more than just he deserves to have his name mentioned.
He's the guy from Stranger Things for me, but I'm fine if you want to go further with it. You're right. He probably deserves more recognition. He's the guy from Stranger Things for me. Yeah, man, we watch these movies every year. There's like 6 or 7 I go to every year. So
I'm just looking here. I hate A Christmas Story.
You know, I've only seen it once. It was never one that got played a ton in my house because my parents didn't want me to want a gun.
Because it's fucking terrible.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go with Love Actually. That's my answer.
And I'll go this Christmas, which I know you haven't seen. So
yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm not gonna see it either. Okay. We done?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Thank you everybody for tuning into another post game for Knicks Film School here. Thank you, of course, to our sponsors for this episode and for all of our segments here. The aforementioned HelloFresh. Who am I forgetting? AG1, big time sponsor for tonight, and Prize Picks. Prize Picks, who sponsors our betting and sweating, and will be with us, I believe, through the end of the year. So if you have any, itch to make your games a little bit more interesting, Prize Picks. Just throw
promo code KFS, and we'll match your $100 deposit on signing up. Some announcements. So with the Knicks going on the West Coast trip, we're going to be switching up the schedule a bit on the post games and who's hosting. So it's going to be me and your boy Mensa on the post game on this Wednesday. John's going to be taking the night off. Then John will be doing the Phoenix post game at Dark 30 on Saturday morning when that game goes final. I will be doing the Clipper game Dark 30 on Sunday morning. And then it'll be me and your boy Sean after the Laker game with pods dispersed in between, which includes tomorrow night. Here's your reminder. Introducing KFS math class. We're going to have the Hot Hand Theory guys, the new podcast with wow. John just put his thumb up and a bubble with the thumb up emoji just popped up. XJ of the Casual Crew and Frank Barrett of the Strickland, they have collaborated for a podcast that's very heavy into analytics and impact metrics, and they look at the game from that perspective. They'll be hosting a live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday night. Bring all of your questions, bring all of your takes. Super chats not required, but are appreciated. And we'll have some fun on Tuesday night when they go live on our YouTube channel. So tune in on Tuesday night for that. And then I may be overdoing it, but there's a chance of more than one pregame pod for the Jazz game on Wednesday. Stay tuned for that.
Can I give one more Christmas movie?
Yeah, sure.
This is a genuine, strong recommend. I've only seen it once, but I had a lovely time. A Very Merry Christmas, starring Bill Murray, directed by one of my favorite directors, Sofia Coppola. I think you could probably still find it on Netflix now. It is fantastic. It's a delightful time. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. Kind of has gotten lost in the sauce over the years, a very Merry Christmas. Watch it with your family. You'll have a delightful time. There you go.
By the way, I just typed in to Google underrated Christmas movies. First movie that pops up, Christmas with the Crank. So you did it.
There you go.
Google agrees.
I'll let Dolores know that she has other people in her camp. It's fine.
There you go. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes, happy holidays, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we will talk to you soon. Peace out.